here at the Royal Ceremonial Dress Collection with curator Matthew Story. Now Matthew, just tell me a little bit about what you do here.
I look after this amazing collection of 10,000 items of clothing worn at the royal court or by members of the royal family.
What is your favourite piece, if any, out of the collection?
That is very difficult. I love anything by Norman Hartnell. I think he was a genius. He created some wonderful royal gowns, and actually this piece is one of my favourites as well. Well, it's a prototype, the technical term is toile, for the Queen Mother's coronation dress dating from 1937. It was made by her favourite designer at the time, tried and trusted Madame Handley Seymour. Madame Handley Seymour had also made her wedding dress. This is how the designer worked out the cut and the fit and the design of the dress before she dared cut into the expensive satin that she was going to use. All this is gold paint. Well, of course, on the finished dress it would have been gold embroidery, but you can see in a few places they've put extra patches on to change the design, and they probably also worked with the Queen Mother to get the fit right so it would be comfortable to her. So you can see there's tacking stitches here and even a rusty pin from 1937. So I imagine that the Queen Mother would have been there in the studio or perhaps at Buckingham Palace, because designers often come to royalty at the palace, giving her opinion, working out what would fit, what would work, so she would be comfortable on the day.
Wow. And do you think we may see a reprise of the similar style in the upcoming coronation, maybe by the Queen Consort or any of the senior royals?
With coronations, there's always a looking back to precedent from the past, as well as doing something that works for the present day. And so something you really see on historic coronation gowns is this use of floral emblems. So the national floral emblem, you've got the rose, the thistle, the shamrock and the leek, and then you've also got other national emblems on this dress as well, for instance for New Zealand and Canada. And we do actually know from Norman Hartnell's own diary that colour was her idea. So he initially presented designs in gold and silver, but it was her suggestion to have colour on the floral emblems.
Wow. So let's move on to this spectacular piece here. Now, what are we looking at here?
We are looking at the oldest piece I've got out for you today. This dates from 1821.
Wow.
And it was worn at the coronation of King George IV, which remains the most expensive and extravagant coronation ever.
Wow, and who would have worn this?
So this was worn by a man called Dupré Alexander, and he was the second Earl of Caledon. So he was one of the peers attending the coronation. This is 1821. They're dressed in the styles of the late 16th or early 17th centuries. So this doublet and hose, which really harks back to Britain's heritage. It was the most expensive coronation ever, but the peers actually had to pay for their garments themselves. So
wow, and why was that?
Probably because they'd already spent so much money elsewhere. But they all had to be to this design so that the whole spectacle would work together. And actually it was really appreciated by the public, who appreciated this lift to the spirits, the national mood, by this incredible display of very ancient feeling pageantry.
There are a few little stains on this wonderful garment. Now, can you tell me what that might have been?
Well, we're doing some science on them at the moment, so we're not sure, but we do have a working theory. And this is one reason I love working with historic dress, because it has all these traces of the people who wore it. So yeah, we've got a stain here and on the sleeve as well. And our top theory is this came from the coronation banquet.
Wow.
That happened afterwards in Westminster Hall. And we know it was a messy and quite riotous occasion. There's stories of people having to dodge dripping hot wax coming from the chandeliers above them. And when the king left, everyone descended and tried to grab as many souvenirs as they could. And it's worth saying they never hosted another banquet in Westminster Hall after that one. I think it just got too messy. Well, we've looked at something worn by a queen, something worn by a noble. I thought, let's have something worn by an everyday person, someone like you and me. So this dates to 1953. and it was worn by a little girl to celebrate the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II.
So beautiful, and there's so much lovely detail. What can we see along the bottom?
You can see a coronation procession. You've got Buckingham Palace, you've got a carriage, and you've even got the Queen on her throne there. So I think the little girl who originally wore this must have felt great on the day. And we know she loved the dress as well, because after the day she dressed a very large doll in it for a few years before they thought that maybe they should treasure it as a memento. I think it shows how an event like a coronation can really create a sense of national unity. I think at the time in 1953, that was very important. You've just come through a period of the Second World War of austerity and of rationing, and so the coronation was a chance for people to look to the future and to come together and to take part in what was a real moment of national renewal after a period of very great trauma. A way for everybody to come together and have a little piece of that day, a little memento they can carry with them of that occasion. So this dress from 1953 we've never displayed before, so I thought I'd get it out especially for you today. This one we need to keep safe in our stores, it's very delicate, but this one people will be able to see from the 26th of May in the Jewel House at the Tower of London.